What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Challenge Fandom podcast. We've got myself, Rick Hayes, my beautiful wife, Corrina Hayes. We've got Josh motherfucking Chambers, Katie Bad Blood Pahura, and Tony Stats and Info Lance. And guess what? We're back to break down the final episode of All Stars 5, episode 12, an unrivaled twist. Except it's been rivaled before because we've seen it, but that's whatever, let's just go with it. If you have not, make sure you hit subscribe because we're going to be talking about this episode that had puke, paddles, petty fights, the whole fucking nine, and a pretty decent twist. So with that being said, give me your 30,000 foot view of this episode. What did you think of it? Corrina, let's hear from you first.
I liked this one. Honestly, I really enjoyed this episode. This part of the final for me was kind of more like what I was expecting from day one. And, obviously not getting it day one, I was like, it's going to probably be day two. But I was very happy. I liked the checkpoints for the most part. A biggest mistake that we made was we actually reorganized our entire evening so that we would be sitting down to have dinner while we watched the challenge. No. And of course, the very first challenge is, or the very first checkpoint is the faux challenge.
So fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, so we had to mute it and literally just look down and we'd glance up every once in a while, see what, okay, nothing.
And you had to listen to it because
we put it on mute.
I know, but there were so many good one-liners. And
I went back later for for notes and stuff, but that was a really big mistake on our part. But I mean, for the most, I enjoyed it. I was happy with the ending. So yeah.
Good episode. Yeah.
I liked it. I liked the format. This was the payoff for sitting through last week's episode as far as the checkpoints and everything went. I'm like you, Corrina. I wasn't totally jazzed about how everything was going for part one, but part two is what I was waiting for and what I wanted to see. Happy with the outcome as well. I actually really liked this final. It's probably one of the better ones I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I think it was really entertaining.
Dude, love day two. Absolutely. There were some parts of it that, whatever. But the outcome almost as predicted. But I loved watching it play out.
I also loved it. It was so good. If I hear one more fan say they're sick of these carnival games, I'm going to lose my shit. And I'm just I've been fuming over some comments I've seen on the socials of the media. Carnival games. This was fabulous. I was honestly shocked by the amount of physical checkpoints they had in this portion. And truthfully, from my perspective, I felt like they were pretty fair. Some of them could have been tweaked a little bit, but also, guys, we know I love. Oh, and it's time now. Did you guys see? It's official.
Yes.
They are engaged.
Big shout out to Adam and Avery. Congratulations, guys. We're so happy for you. Yay. Like Katie said, big fans of love here.
Yes.
We're big love guys.
Sobbed happy tears.
I was so excited. I didn't get to catch the live. But while I was getting ready, after I got out of the shower and stuff and I was getting ready, I happened to be scrolling and I saw the video because they had saved it. And I was like, hold up. Because the very first thing that I saw as soon as the camera flipped to Avery is that she had a ring on both sides. And I didn't know which way she was facing the camera and stuff. But I was like, wait a minute. There's one on both sides. One of those is very special. I'll bet you anything. One of those is new. And so while I was doing my makeup, normally I freaking, I swift out and listen to Taylor and dance and sing. But nope, I watched the live. And as soon as she showed, I was like, oh my God, I got so excited. I was so happy for them. And then, just the fact that he custom designed a whole different one. This is just her travel one. which it's fucking gorgeous, but it's just her travel ring. And he like custom designed like this whole other one, like just super, super cool, super happy for them. Such a sweet love story. And
yes.
I'm really happy for them. So
yeah, no, they were like the most unexpected couple when we saw it on All Stars 4, but the more you see it, the more sense it makes. And
They're so perfect.
Yeah. And I'm really, really happy for them. I think, well, I hope it's whatever.
Just really quick, because I know that it's not like a discussion point on our agenda for tonight. I just want to say his whole confessional where he was talking about how he calls her Avery-thing. In tears, bruh. I was like, that is the sweetest, cutest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. That is so adorable. Like, so I'm happy for them.
I use Corrina thing all the time.
Oh, God.
But it's called taking like that really risky late afternoon nap about 4 o'clock where you don't know if you wake up at 8 or 5:30.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell Sarah that I don't negotiate with Sarah-rists, so
Well played. Well played.
Nice.
So before we get into this and really deep dive, as we always do, Tony, I know you have something really important that you want to talk about. And before we get any deeper in the episode, I want you to talk about the Alzheimer's Foundation. Is it a walk?
Yep,
Correct me.
So it's the Walk for Alzheimer's. So last year was the first year we did it on the South Shore because I had done the walk the year previously in the city. And I ended up being the highest fundraiser in the province, which I didn't actually know at the time. And then they asked me if I would do one in the area. So I said yes. We actually last year raised over $22,000 just at our walk.
Wow.
That's so badass.
Ridiculous because it's like we're a smaller community. So we're doing it again this year. I've already started fundraising. I'm doing the hair raiser again. Last year, you could pick the colors, and then whichever one had the most amount of money attached to it, I would get my full head of hair dyed. I have no say in the matter. The walk is the 25th of May. I have a hair appointment on the 23rd of May. Again, no idea what it'll end up being. The options are like straight up pink. There's also rainbow, which is what won last year. Mermaid, which is what it ended up fading to last year. Galaxies, like a galaxy one, which is like all purples and like dark blues. Moon Mist, which is a Nova Scotian ice cream that is the flavors of grape, bubblegum, and banana. So basically yellow, blue, and purple. And somebody suggested leopard print, and then it really took off. So then I was like, fine, whatever. So pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the sides short, do leopard print on the sides, and then have the inside of the leopard print be whatever color actually wins.
Ooh.
Whatever color is, and then the leopard print will be like that color as well.
You should do your beard too, Tony.
It takes
go big or go home.
It's so much effort to do your beard, and that's a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
I already have to use different shampoo when I dye my hair.
Is it too late to make a suggestion on hair color?
No.
Oh, gosh.
Just because I was in the print industry, yellow, cyan, and magenta.
Solid choice.
I think because depending on what lens you look at it through, it's every color.
That's true.
Just putting that out there. Anyways,
absolutely.
Little print nerdism. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no worries.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you can donate. We have the link. I think we have the link in our bio and the links in my bio as well. I'm doing this because my mother has dementia. She's living in long-term care. My grandmother also had Alzheimer's, her mother. So yeah, obviously super important, super close to my family. And I think we're already for this year up around 1,600.
Nice.
And because I'm in Nova Scotia, Moon Mist is currently winning, but Rainbow is like right behind it. So either way, the leopard print is going to be very interesting. And Sarah is already not looking forward to,
I love it. That's awesome. Yes. So, if anybody out there, if you guys want to donate to Tony's cause, make sure you guys go and check the description. I will have the link there. It is also in our bio on like Instagram and YouTube and all that. And then obviously, like Tony said on his, but yeah, definitely for a good cause. So if you guys want to be part of it, make sure you check that out.
Yeah. And just to add to that, I was just looking because I know how prevalent Alzheimer's is. And as age increases, the odds of it goes up. For instance, when you're 65, 1 in 9 people are believed to have Alzheimer's. By the time you hit 85, it goes to 1 in 3 people. So this is a very important cause. Yeah. And it really does affect everyone in one way or the other, whether it's you directly or through a friend who's dealing with it like it is in our situation with Tony. Yeah. So please, check that link below and, whatever you can do, and we appreciate it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this episode. I'm holding 2 pens like I'm a fucking drummer. Okay, someone's going to hate this joke, but I'm still going to say it. You know what has 7 arms and still sucks? Def Leppard.
Def Leppard.
You're welcome. I know that's the real content you're here for.
I'll be here all night.
Yeah, to your waitresses. It's a long flight in. My arms are real tired.
Oh my God.
Singular.
Foul play, sir. Foul play. Let's get into this final episode. I want to kind of just jump right into this with a question that me and Corrina kind of threw around. I think it's kind of interesting, and I want to get your guys' opinion. Do you guys think Shane and Devon having kind of like a really dominant day 1 and being in the lead going into day 2 kind of put them at a disadvantage when it came to being targeted? Or do you think they just kind of lost on their own accord?
I mean, I think Shane was the detriment to their team on day 2.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, like I didn't even know that was I didn't know that was a hot take. But I mean, if you're going to walk over to somebody else and say that you're just doing it down the line to be fair, and then you spend 5 minutes tapping the bottom of the glass to make sure you get it all.
Does anybody have a cup right now? Just
like, I'm pretty sure, get fucked. Like, nobody's going to want to work with you at that point, and everyone's going to come for you.
Exactly. Yes, 100%. Thank
and
you.
Davon's face the whole time too. She was just like,
oh my God.
I'm not responsible for that.
I didn't see her get up and do anything about it or take the next cup and put it in somebody else's.
That was editing.
Yeah, she
Shane
tried.
did all 3.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I think that it didn't put him at a disadvantage. I think Tony's spot on that Shane put them at a disadvantage in that situation because of his actions and what he did. I think that they couldn't get any closer to fucking winning. You know what I mean? Like, so it wasn't that big of a fucking deal, in my opinion. I don't know. Do you guys have any different opinions on this?
No.
So
I just thought that, no matter who's in the lead on day 2, you're going to get targeted.
Yeah.
And the fact that Shane did that, I mean, that's Shane. That's the petty. I loved it because he was him. And the fact that they did it back to him, great. And then he did it a second time. Loved it. Loved it.
Why are you targeting the last place team and not the second place team?
Especially
they're sitting over there.
Real quick. I got a hot take.
She got some tea.
Hot take alert.
I don't know what that was.
Okay.
I know, but I don't know why.
I don't know why I did the DJ scratch. I don't know why. Like, I don't know how that fits in. But
remember, era.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there we go.
Forgot about the eras already.
Okay. First off, yes, I do think obviously like them being in the lead is a disadvantage, but it's not just them. Like Josh said, anybody who was in first place was going to be, targeted. But here's my hot take. I heard from a little birdie that because I didn't personally listen. So that's why I'm saying it that way. I heard from a little birdie that last week, Devon was on the official challenge podcast. And she confirmed on the podcast that going into the final, are you okay?
Whoa.
Rick's losing it.
I just was trying to scratch my head and my headphones fell. I'm sorry. I had
That was a close
I had
one.
to scratch that
Knocking
motherfucker.
the whole studio.
This is why we can't have nice things.
That's why we don't all record at one table.
So anyway, so Devon had actually confirmed on the official challenge podcast last week that going into the final, her and Shane had made a deal with Adam and Steve. So Shane and Devon were never going to target Adam and Steve. Why they didn't target Frank and Sam, I'm not sure. I think that was where Shane was like, here's my thing. I think Shane went after, first of all, he said that he thought Nicole and Melissa were in second place. That was in his confessional. I was like, no, dude.
No, he didn't.
They literally tell you how
No,
many
he didn't.
stars you guys have. They literally just told you guys. Like, what are you talking
Did you
about?
forget where you listen? They don't listen, remember?
Here's my theory. I think that Shane purposely targeted Nicole and Melissa because they were performing the worst at that point. So he knew that there wasn't going to be a whole lot of like backlash from it. And I think the whole like tapping the glass, that was purposeful. Like that was intentional from Shane because I think he wanted to piss off Nicole and Melissa so that they would target him and then he would have an excuse to just dump it in theirs again instead of stirring shit up with Frank and Sam. Like I think this was all planned by Shane. I think that he knew exactly what he was doing in this moment. He had a deal with one. He didn't want to stir the pot with the other. And I think all of it, like, because why else is he sitting there pounding the glass? That was purposeful to piss them off and annoy them.
I mean, we've seen Shane be a mastermind before that he didn't get credit for, and where Cam did the same thing, and she got, like, everybody just loved her and thought it was amazing. But I'm like, dude, Shane wrote the blueprint for you to be able to do that. And I'm just like, dude, he's smart and he's intelligent and he picks his moments. And you're 100% on that.
Yeah, I was going to say you changed my perspective.
Yeah, ditto.
Because Shane, you're right. Why wouldn't you target the team that you know no matter what they do, they're going to be in last place because Nicole Z's on that team and they can't do anything about it.
She didn't get injured this final, so that's
Communication, though.
I have
That's
a full
true.
fucking rant on her that I'll get into here in a little bit.
It's going down for real.
Okay. So next question I have, and I think this is a more interesting question. We might have some different views on this. Do you think Frank was pushing Sam too hard or just enough? I mean, was he just being a competitor or crossing the line? What do you guys think?
I feel like Frank says it all in his interviews. He knows exactly what Sam is capable of, and she has confirmed it time and time again just on this season. Like if we think back to the beginning when she's having that vulnerable conversation with Anissa about feeling like she's not good enough and how did Anissa do it and how does she handle it and all these things. So I looked at it more as I mean, obviously I saw the competitor in Frank, but I saw the big brother in Frank. Like, I know you can do this and you're giving up. You're not believing in yourself to keep moving forward. He did get a little spicy. So I can't say if I were in her shoes that I wouldn't feel some kind of way if someone was coming at me like that. But seeing his growth from where he used to be and their original final together to like the evolution of it took him all season to blow up, I feel like it was almost warranted. Like I feel for both of them in the situation, but I'm not going to say this for everybody, but I know myself. We've all been there with a friend, no matter what the situation is, where you can see them just self-sabotaging and not believing in themselves. And we all need a friend that's going to give us that tough love and have that hard conversation and be real with us. And it's not just about winning anymore. It's about your health. And he can see her, like, especially as a physical therapist, he knows. And I do want to go on a little tangent just for a minute, because I know a lot of the fan base is, 30 and above. So I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a minute, guys. Am I wrong? I'm sorry.
No. I'm just upset ridiculous. Because I'm almost 40. Fuck.
Sorry.
I'm almost 50.
God damn. I'm surprised you can see us without glasses.
I can't.
The screen's really zoomed in.
Text is this fucking big in the messages.
Okay, serious moment.
I'm sorry. I gotta give Josh a little bit of shit.
All right, you get on your soapbox, babe.
Okay, I'm on my soapbox. For women, biological women, when we turn 30, our bodies start to lose 3 to 5% of muscle mass, and it just accelerates every decade. So less muscle mass doesn't just mean less strength. It means it's going to be harder for your metabolism to keep working, and it's going to also increase your risk of injury. So if you're thinking about it, like, I picture my grandma, and it was a generation thing, but my grandma grew up in that generation where it was just Weight Watchers, and you weren't necessarily fueling your body with things that were healthy. You weren't focused on health. You were focused on a look. And for a lot of our generation, the look was either as skinny as you can be, or basically like just skin and bones. And it's not sustainable. And there are so many women that are older now that are struggling because they didn't keep their body in a healthy state. So it's just super important to like take care of yourself. And I'm just so passionate about it. And I think about it. I want to be around when my nephew is my age and has his own family. And I don't want to just be alive. I want to be thriving, and I want to feel good. And we have to take care of ourselves to do that. So that's my little soapbox for that.
And I think you're absolutely right. But I don't think that at any point Frank was attacking anything about that. And I think, and I'm going to just give my opinion. I'm going to jump in here, which I normally don't do until the end, but I'm going to say this. I think Frank, compared to what we have seen in younger versions of him, was very much reserved in his comments. Did he get a little bit spicy? Yes. But did he ever cross a line where as a person I would feel like, nah, bro, you can't say that? Compared to I feel a certain type of way because he hit something at the core of me that is accurate.
Yes.
Yeah. And do I think that Sam's knee was bothering her? Yes. Do I think that she was actually injured? No. But I could be wrong. I wasn't there. I also don't think that Frank, even though he's a physical therapist, can do a very brief examination feeling the outside of a knee and say, you have no injury.
I'm curious to know if there was any kind of actual injury, and who knows. But he did also, I did write a quote down for what he said because it was after everything. And it was just, he just said, you need to take care of yourself, and this isn't you. You need to stay motivated. You need to believe in yourself, take care of yourself. And he even like did what a lot of friends do, where they're just like, I'll be there for you every step of the way if you need me. So I just think that was really special and said everything.
The part that I loved was the fact that he came out and apologized if she felt that he attacked her character, because he did not want to do that, especially in that on the TV, on the show.
Yeah, and I think that the fact that your day 2, this is almost the very last checkpoint. This is one of the most endurance-based and patience-based checkpoint that you have. And she's having a hard time because it's a transition from land to like wetlands, swamp, with reeds and her knees bothering her so she doesn't feel stable. It just got to the point where he was mentally done. He was at capacity. And that's why what happened at the end of this is so powerful, which we'll talk about later. But before I go too far into a tangent, Corrina, what do you think?
I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add. I agree with what you guys have said, with a small caveat that I think that, you know, obviously there's a time and place for conversations. I love that Frank is willing to, you know, be there for Sam and help her and kind of push her to succeed. As far as what happened during the actual challenge, you know, where he kind of got, like you guys said, spicy with her. I don't really hold that against him. You can tell that he got frustrated in the moment, and like, he, you know, like they said, or like TJ said, they were, you know, there was a 3-way tie for first place. So there was a lot of pressure in that moment. They're already halfway through the day. They're, you know, just spent the night sleeping in sleeping bags on, you know, on the ground. And right before that, they disgusting pho and threw up everywhere.
So fucking ridiculous.
You know, so I understand that part. I think the conversation, obviously, that he had with Sam about her health was very touching and very sweet. And I think shows a lot of his growth, like I said, but I just don't know how I feel about that conversation being on camera. I feel like it would have been that was a very personal conversation. And I just feel like it could have waited until after the final, because she can't fix it right now. And you guys could have easily talked about it and had a more meaningful conversation after the final, you know? And then my other question to it, which obviously I know nobody here knows the answer to, but why wait until now? Like, you know, and maybe we just didn't see it, but if he was so concerned about her health, just looking at her, and, you know, you had all season to kind of train with her and help her, and, you know, make sure her endurance was ready to go to that final, because you know that there's going to be endurance. So, you know, that's my other thing is like, why wait until the problem is already like fully exposed before you try to solve it, when you apparently are, you know, a physical therapist and you can notice these things and you know all this stuff about health? Why not approach that situation with your partner sooner?
He did do a training with her.
Yeah, he did work. Like, there was a whole scene of them riding bikes. So we don't know.
I get that.
We don't know.
And we don't know what they didn't show, but
I am leaving room for that. But I just mean like this specific conversation about her health.
No,
you know,
I get
if it was coming from a place of friendship, why wasn't it done earlier in the season, you know, or off camera? Just, you know, so that was really my only thing. But that being said, you know, this is a huge improvement for Frank. Like, old Frank back on Battle of the Seasons would have lost his fucking mind on this challenge, on this checkpoint. So big props to him for his growth. I think he got a little over frustrated, but, you know, he still handled the situation pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that the conversation on the truck following the challenge was sort of just like an organic continuation of what happened during the challenge. And I agree with what you're saying, Corrina, like, as far as like, it's not necessarily a moment that needs to be televised, or it's not something that needs to be for camera. But I also, like, I almost feel like that was the conversation that they both needed to have following the challenge. And then it was sort of immaterial that the camera was there versus like for camera versus I'm going to save this and talk to you about it afterwards, because like the emotion is there and like all of the, like everything in that moment has sort of culminated in that conversation. But like, I didn't think about it the way that you had mentioned until you said it. And now like, I totally see both sides of it. But when I was watching it, that's kind of how I looked at it, was just like challenge, blow up after pretty much like not really blowing up all season. And then just kind of hitting that point. And then to come back down and be like, so I know those fucked up, but this is why I hit that point.
That's a fair point. I see your point.
And reality show. It's bringing back the real, this is why we love these people, because they're not filtered and They don't care if there's a camera around. They're just being themselves.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, I think that if it was any pair other than Adam and Steve, I think that conversation, like that, how that daily or how that checkpoint went, what would have been too far. So, like, if it was Davon and Shane or Nicole and Melissa, that exact same conversation is too far. But it's the baked in history that Frank and Sam have, how much they care about each other outside of the show, and how everything sort of culminated in that. And the same would have gone with Adam and Steve. Like, if Adam and Steve had a moment like that, you know that there's so much history there, and they are newly quote unquote rivals for the star stealing of like last season. So everything's fresh, but they do have all that baked in history. So those are the two that I could see having that exact same level of blow up and it being like valid and not being over the line. But with the other two, I think that it would just be like an attack.
Yeah, I can see that definitely. Just based on seniority of relationship in general.
My only thoughts on it is go running in the sand and tell me your knees don't hurt no matter what age you are.
Bingo.
Facts. Real quick, sorry, I just wanted to say, speaking of Shane, I just thought it was so funny that he was like, gosh, he's so mean to her.
Me too. I was like, oh, he's so mean.
Calling the kettle black there.
Oh, good
Really?
Shane. What?
Oh.
Fucking A.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, anyway, you can go.
All right. So was the final balanced enough that any team could have won? Let's say we replace Nicole and Melissa with Veronica, Katie. Do you think they have a good chance, or are we just replacing last place for last place? You know what I mean? You put in Big Easy and a Niece on a team. Do you think they have a chance to kind of do something with this? Or was this set up for a male-male partnership to win?
Ooh.
I have mixed feelings about it. Because I'm picturing if Katie and Veronica were there, they both could have held the thing because they're about the same height. So that would have been easy for them.
Mm-hmm.
The dunes would have been tough for them.
Dunes would have been tough.
Yeah, dunes would have been tough.
They wouldn't have won the first checkpoint on day one.
And they wouldn't have won the one with the water on day two. But like,
No,
I could
or
see
the food one.
they might have been able to. Katie's a fucking savage. Katie's
I'm
a
a
fucking
savage.
savage. Yeah, she'll be like, "Fuck this, fucking ridiculous."
This fucking
ridiculous.
Yeah. I so that's my thing, is just to give them some credit. I don't know if they win it, but I think they get close. They do as good as Nicole and Melissa, if not a little bit better.
I agree. Like, could you, I don't know. And I don't necessarily think that the final was built for a male team because, we saw how close the final results were, so I don't necessarily think it was built for a male team, but I definitely think it was built for teams that had endurance.
Yes.
And so I don't necessarily think it comes down to, gender or anything like that. It comes down to, were you prepared? And I just don't know that Veronica would have the endurance to do the endurance portions that led up to the puzzles. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Could they have rowed the boat? And came in anything but last? Could they have done the dunes and came in anything? Because the dunes were the only thing that Nicole and Melissa came in first on, right? Or I think maybe one other one they might have came in first. But
I think they could have done well at, a couple of the
stacking one.
The stacking one. I don't think they come in last on the barrels with the rope.
I
think they come in third.
That one's tough because they're short.
Yeah, but
so like doing the rope and stretching to hold it and roll the thing. I don't know that one.
We're not putting seasons in order, which is her bread and butter, Veronica's.
True.
But when it comes to the mental stuff, she's on point. When it comes to the physical stuff, she's not the old Veronica.
Let's say we take Frank and Sam and keep Mel and Nicole and Veronica and Katie in there. She could totally talk Mel and Nicole into quitting.
She could.
That is facts.
Well, she could talk Nicole into quitting.
Yeah.
I don't know about Mel. That would be that's a little more hard.
Well, Nicole's gone, Mel's gone, so there you go.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's pretty well rounded, like all in, because there's enough variety they're in the checkpoints, that you could come in last for the first two and then come in first and second and kind of make up that ground. Because at the beginning, Frank and Sam were behind, but then as they got closer and as checkpoints went past, that gap really narrowed. And then there wasn't as much distance between last place and first place. So I think like even if you look at some of the other teams like from this season, even someone like an Ashley and an Anissa who their communication was garbage, but they could do as well as Nicole and Melissa did in this. And like, and it's hard to kind of pull other teams in because there were so many really strong pairs that like if you put Fessy and Bamber in this, like they're going to kill it.
Dario and Ashley.
Devin and Leroy. Like,
Devin Leroy, yeah.
There's so many teams that if you look at this season as a whole and look at all the combinations and then you look at the final, I think it's pretty fair.
I mean, when it comes down to it, first and second was separated by what? 1 star at the end?
1 star, yeah.
1 star.
Male, female.
I'm playing a lot of the devil's advocate on this. I actually think it was pretty fair because you put Shane and Devon in any other final, flagship, or All-Stars, like All-Stars 1, All-Stars 2, you're telling me they get second place? You put them in War of the Worlds 2, they get second place?
Shane and Devon? Well, we're not comparing it to flagship, though.
No, I'm saying All-Stars 1 or 2.
All-Stars 1, are they beating Yes or Darrell?
I mean, Yes is hard to beat, you know? Like,
are they beating John A and MJ in All-Stars 2?
Maybe.
I don't know. I just don't have them as a heavyweight team in the finals. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, keeping up with the guy team. I think that's really because it was a more fair final than anything else. It's just stacked in one side.
I mean, I see your point, but at the same time, we have first and second place, like we said, with 1 star apart. But then it's almost fucking 10 stars till third and fourth. So like, it's not like everybody was super close. Like those other teams kind of got their asses kicked.
Well, I mean, still, it doesn't mean that every team's going to be great at every game. There has to be a loser in it.
Well, yeah.
And some teams are just better. Like, look, just because Jordan's in a final doesn't mean it's the hardest final ever. It could still be a shitty final, and he's just good at carnival games, quote unquote.
I mean, but I don't know.
So I think there's an inherent skill at being good at stuff, and some people are just better at it than others. But look, like out of all these checkpoints in this elimination, there's only one I looked at and been like, dude, that would have fucking killed me. Like, I need an ambulance. The other ones were like, that would suck, but I could do it. And some of them were like, dude, I could totally do this. As a viewer, would I be as good as them? No, but I could still do it.
I'll get off the couch for that.
And that's, look at it this way too. Like first and second place, super close. Second and third and fourth place, super close. So even though there was a huge gap between the two, like the first and second and third and fourth, it was still close in those two groupings. So it was almost like they were running 2 finals simultaneously. And I don't mean that to discredit the third and fourth place.
Right.
I mean that there were 2 really tight races.
So
when you're watching, you're just like, I don't actually know. It's a coin flip over how it's going to go. And I missed it too because I was dumb.
I know. I didn't hear.
I said you could discredit fourth place.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, but no. Anyways, Katie, does anybody have any other final thoughts? Because I got a real quick rapid fire question, and I'm going to move this stuff forward.
Rapid fire, away.
Let's go.
Rapid fire answer has to be less than 15 seconds. Which checkpoint would you want to skip the most, and which checkpoint would you want to do the most?
Ooh.
I'll start us off. I'm going to skip the fucking disaster that was Foking. And then I would probably, like I said, I think the barrel one with the rope one was cool. So out of the whole final, that's probably what I'd want to do.
Hive mind with Rick for the first time ever. That's exactly what I would do. I would skip I don't do spicy. I mean, I can send you all a video of me eating a ghost pepper. You're going to laugh your ass off.
That'd be hilarious.
I painted the wall outside the dealership with my insides.
So I don't want to see that.
I don't want to see that.
No, that's not shown. That's not shown.
Okay. I don't want to see that part.
Just me hiccuping, starting to sweat. Yeah, that's on the video. But yeah, and the barrel one, I mean, that just looks fun. Plus, I can do math.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm trying to think because I was not prepared for the one that I want to do the most.
I know, me either.
I'll make it easy. Make it easy for you. I have IBS. I'm not doing the food one.
Yeah.
It gives me the Hershey squirts.
My notes say I have a sensitive tummy, and there would be no way I'd be able to finish the rest of the checkpoints the following day if I did the Folking challenge. But I don't know for one I would have wanted to. I almost would have wanted to do the rowing one in the miso soup bowls. Did you notice that this season, like, we know there's little bits that they've picked up that they did on 40, but I just wonder what the cast thinks about these upgraded miso soup bowls.
They didn't sink.
That don't sink.
Obviously, because they're in Vietnam, so they're taking things and they filmed really close together. But I think they do hold on to these like little ideas, like let's put them in a wicker boat and see how far they can row.
That's
okay.
Well, it sunk the last time, so we got to upgrade it. So let's tie two of them together and
let's spray Flex Seal on the bottom.
yes, Flex Seal.
All right. So for mine, so the checkpoint that I would skip is also the Folking. What was it? Folking. I don't know.
Folking trivia.
Oh, that's right.
Folking
trivia.
Yeah.
I'm definitely skipping that one. But the one that I would actually want to do, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy.
She's crazy.
I would want to do the one where you get to set up the camping thing, where you get to match the camping thing. I would have so much fucking fun with that, and I would be super good at it.
To yours. Mm-hmm.
We would file for a divorce if we did that together.
Why?
We could do it together, Corrina.
You can shut the fuck up and let me do my job. That's
when
it.
do I ever do that?
I don't. But if you would, then we wouldn't have to.
You're gonna get upset because you're gonna just be walking and be like, "Hey, what's this?" Bloop, and you're like, "Ah!" And they try to hit me in the nuts
and succeed.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're gonna fight, and it's whatever. But
then you're gonna walk away, and then TJ's gonna be like, "Rick, Corrina was right."
Yeah, I know.
Rick's gonna be right. Steve refolding the napkin. It wasn't that.
Okay, hold up real quick. About Steve, why didn't we know that this man is the international man of mystery? Hand model.
Trades.
Fucking, what is it? Food competitor.
Competitive food eating.
Yeah, like, when is he doing Nathan's hot dogs? I want to see this man go.
Let's do it.
I said the same
hot dog and eat that motherfucker.
What else don't we know about you, Steve?
Steve ate competitively?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he worked for MI5 right now.
He was a competitive eater. Did you not watch the show, Josh?
I thought that was Shane.
No, Steve. Okay, so
moving on.
Just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, quick question: did the lack of the overnight challenge make you feel any type of way about this, or were you cool with it? Do you think it's a breath of fresh air, or do you really want to see them back?
I want to see them back. I don't think that this final was easy. I think that the overnight aspect adds another level of difficulty to the second day because you're even more tired. Your brain is even less responsive. So I want the outcome of the overnight. Mind you, do we even know if there was an overnight that they just didn't show again?
No, we don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything like that. But, I mean, you never know. They could have done it.
They could have climbed a waterfall. We don't fucking know.
Oh,
they've done it previous seasons.
So disappointing.
Going against TLC's orders.
You don't go chasing those fuckers.
No.
Just stick to the rivers and the streams that you're used to.
Yep.
Fresh start for Breeze because it's so fresh in here.
Anyway, I'm just going to throw mine in because mine's quick. Yes, it absolutely was missing for me. I wanted an overnight challenge. I was excited to see what they were going to do. And look, my thing is I'm not saying they have to stay up all night and not sleep at all. Like whatever they did on Worlds where, they were on that train and they literally couldn't sleep. That was a little too ridiculous, especially considering what they had to do on day 2. But I do think some sort of overnight challenge, you got to complete this and then you can go to sleep or like whatever. I like those. And I think, like Tony said, it adds another layer to the actual game and the mental, side of getting through a final. And so it was definitely missing for me. I'm not sure why they decided not to do one for this season, but it was, I wish that they had it there.
Oh, sorry. I got caught up with something.
He was trying to prove us wrong that it was Shane who was a competitor.
Honestly, it didn't bother me. I think maybe because it's All Stars, I wasn't as like up in arms about it, but I think their punishment enough was what they had to consume, and then sleeping on a hard mat outside with the spiders they were mentioning. And I feel we're not getting a good night's sleep if you're sleeping like that.
I would have slept on that fucking table.
Right.
Wiping that
Yes.
I'm shitting and using that napkin as toilet paper. Fuck you guys.
I think there needs to be an overnight. They're talking about spiders. We've seen them with overnights with snakes.
Yeah, literally had to sleep with them.
We've seen people have to sing and count coins and, stand on something all night long. Like in All Stars 1, they had an overnight. And the lack of an overnight, I think it messes with you mentally. Having to stay awake, having to stay focused, and it'll drain you for that second day. And then I think it would have leveled it out even better between second and third and fourth place. But that's just a thought.
I don't really care if there's an overnight or not. I'm going to be honest. I really don't. Does it add anything? Do I think it would have changed? No, probably not. I feel like if you run the tapes back, I think I had the same exact fucking people in the final winning. So I don't know. I don't think it changes anything. I think it still would have been the same. Anyways, real quick. Did anybody really stand out? Was there like a most surprising pairing that did better than you expected them to do in the final?
Shane and Davon's cohesiveness was surprising.
Yeah.
Shane and Devon's cohesiveness. I agree with that.
100%.
I also just want to throw out a shout out, maybe not for the entire final, but there was like a specific moment. But I was surprised in various moments throughout this final. I was very surprised by Sam's performance, because I went into it expecting them to come dead last. And there were certain moments, especially on this episode, like when they had to run for the boat and she was in her confessionals talking about how, she was worried about this run. It wasn't a super far run, but she was worried about it because she doesn't have endurance in her legs. But she made it there before anybody even got into their boat and started taking off. And then they won that checkpoint, so I just wanted to give her a quick shout out for that.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone say I don't have endurance in my legs. Yeah.
But she's saying
I know what she means.
Like,
I know what I get it, but it was funny to me.
It was an odd way to say it.
Mine would be Shane and Devon, and not so much Shane. Like I've always thought, like if Shane made a final, he would compete well. Mine was Devon. I don't want to say she way outperformed, but she did better than I thought she would do in our very first final. Yeah. So that's shout out to Devon.
To be clear, the only reason that I didn't mention Sam is because I anticipated them doing decently well.
They were final champions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway. Yeah.
No, but I appreciate agree with what you're saying. I just wanted to make sure that I was like, I expected her to shit the bed, but I didn't. I expected her to like. I was rooting for Frank and Sam.
I thought they would have came in second. They came in third, and that's the only reason I'm giving it to Shane and Devon. Just to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got a fan question. This is from Sonia, right?
Yes. So big shouts to Sonia. Thank you so much for all your support and all of that. We love you.
Yeah. Much love.
But she sent in a message to Instagram today, and she wanted to get our thoughts on, challengers retiring from reality TV. You're saying like, this is my last season. She is kind of in the camp of, publicity stunt, attention seeking kind of thing. But she wants our opinion. She wants to know what kind of value and we see in these situations and what we think of them. So I just want to open the floor up for a little bit to give your thoughts on that.
Okay, so I'll lead this off since I never really get to anymore.
Do it.
I think it is completely independent on the person who is making the announcement. Because when Leroy made his announcement, there was circumstances behind that announcement that led to it. When Wes said it, I think Wes was just really saying, I'm taking a little bit of a break from the challenge. I do think we will eventually see Wes back again in some facet.
He can't stay away. Let's be honest.
Do I believe the current ones as far as Devon and Frank? I believe Frank more. I believe if MTV pushes enough money Devon's way, she'll do another one, especially All Stars. Like a short and condensed season, I think she'll do it, but it'd have to, money talks, bullshit walks. You know what I mean?
That's fair. So my question is, because obviously I was not aware of Frank's announcement on ZNP. This week has been crazy, but did he give a reason? I'm just...
Yeah, so he basically said that he gets calls for almost every season. In production, Zach said productions come to him in the middle of shows and said, hey, what's going on with Frank? Why isn't he coming back?
Why isn't he calling us back?
They wanted him back. And he was just focused on living his life, getting his career, meeting his husband. And he really focused. And the only reason he came back is because he always had kind of those lingering questions of can I go back and prove how good of a competitor I am and try to win one more championship? But I truly believe he looked at it as I'm going to do a one and done and then get back to what's important in my life.
Okay.
I swear, give us one more flagship. Just one more.
Give us one more All-Stars, but make it an individual season.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I'll take that too. But I really want to see him on the flagship, though.
Yeah. I would love to see Frank back. Really quick. I agree. I think it just depends on the person. Sometimes when people announce this is my last season, I just roll my eyes because I'm okay, so all right. You just want attention from the fans, or I don't even really know what the motivation behind it would be. But some of them I roll my eyes, and then there's certain situations, the Frank thing. But I also wonder, you're telling me for the right price, Frank wouldn't come back in the future, So I don't know. I definitely sit in the camp of, like you said, money talks. And I think almost anyone who says that they won't come back would come back for the right price.
Yep.
Because it's quick, easy money. You get free travel. You get to do all this cool shit. I don't know.
You're telling me that in 5 years when Davon's daughter's 16, young woman getting ready to go to college, really on the right path, that Devon doesn't say, hey, I can leave for 8 to 10 weeks. You can stay with, whoever and make $100,000, 80 grand for a season. Who's not going to say yes to that? And not to say that's what she makes, but I'm just throwing out assumptions based on average salaries from what I've heard.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is, do I think the intention is there when they say it? Most of the time, yes. But I also just believe that, circumstances change, situations change. And, so I always kind of,
take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So to frame it a different way, do you think that you'll get more of an appearance fee and be more desired to come back if you say, this is my last season, I'm retiring from the challenge, or I don't know when you'll see me again? Because if you say, I'm done, I'm walking away, then production's going to want you back more. The fans are going to want you back more because exactly like Katie and I just said, you want one more. We just got Frank back in peak physical condition, peak strategic condition, peak social condition. Frank is a beast. And for him to come back, show this season, and then be Adios.
You know what? That's actually a really good point because, you know, they announce it to the fans. The fans make a fucking cry and plea for that person to come back. That person gets offered more money by production and gets to come back. That's a pretty good. I mean, that's a theory.
That's a good mustache twirler.
I, for one, like how Frank did it. Frank waited until after the season was done, after everything was aired, and then did it. They made it about the season and mentioned it throughout the season a few times.
Did she? Because I didn't catch it all season, and then I caught it obviously at the end of the final.
And then she said, "Thank you for coming to my farewell tour." But no, she had just chit chatted about it first. Like this, I'm thinking this might be, and that was it. And then the actual discussion at the very end.
She had said when she was on the official Challenge podcast, that it was once she had that phone call with her daughter where her daughter was going to be singing in church that she was like, I can't. It was like the first thing she missed for her. And she was like, I'm not going to miss anything else. So I believe what Rick says, where it's like at least until her daughter hits a certain age, then maybe we have a chance at her coming back.
Look, me and Corrina just had this conversation because I had to go out of town for work, and I used to do it all the time, but the kids were like, Tatum was 6, you know, Caleb was 5, Luke was like newborn, year-old, 2 years old.
Yeah, and even before that, when we were just dating and stuff, you know, so it's different.
And then I stopped going out of town for like the last 3-4 years since like post-COVID. And then now I'm starting to go out of town. I looked there, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I want to be around the kids. They're all at really great ages to be around and all of that, where, you know, like small moments matter.
Yeah.
But I also understand, like, when they're like 17, I'm like, man, just go back to your room.
I go hang out with your friends.
I definitely appreciate that, because Harper called me last night and she's like, Dad, can you pick me up from school a little early tomorrow? I'm like, did we have plans? And she's like, no, I just want to play Roblox with you. Danny's world is, I need to play with 2 players. And you're the first one you're like 2 blocks from school. Just come get me and we'll play.
On my way, baby.
And I set an alarm. It said for Harper, and I was there.
Yep.
That's why Devin calls it the ultimate fuck you card when you have kids.
Whatever you need, man, I will make it happen.
This is for my kids. I got to make it to the final. Just get me to the final. That's all I want. Thanks, buddy.
100%. So, moving on. What did you guys think about this split or still twist? Do you think it was good? Do you think it was bad? Is it, do you think they should have just given them the option right there to make them in front of people? Like, what's your thoughts on this?
At the very end of it, I loved it. When TJ came back and explained to it, when you had to go off into your own separate, rather than having to do it in front of everybody, like they had before, this little thing was different. And that's what made it just a slight twist. And the fact that Steve took that sign and threw it on the ground made me love him even more. And it was just like, that was the moment that I became a Steve fan, a bigger Steve fan, because I liked him, but I was just like, dude, you're like, you're forgiven.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I enjoyed it. But personally, I don't really care either way. I like the split or steal idea, but I mean, as far as how they do it, I think it would have been a little bit more dramatic to do it in front of everybody. I was also slightly shocked that it wasn't like an option for all of the teams. It was only an option for first place. But, it was fun. It was a fun, quirky little way for them to kind of do the, take the money and run. Now they have the split or steal, so it was just kind of, a cute little way for them to do it for All Stars. But honestly, I wouldn't be upset if I saw it again. And I also wouldn't be upset if I didn't, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just kind of neutral on how they did it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it.
I liked it for the nostalgia of it being rivals. and having that like a little surprise at the end, but I also wasn't like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's fabulous. I was just like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Tony, is it just me or did it give heavy Survivor vibes?
It did, and I actually, despite being a big fan of Survivor, didn't like it. So the reason I didn't like it is, first off, it wasn't totally necessary because it's just like, it's unnecessary drama that puts strain on the relationship that they spent the entire season building. But also it would be different if they both went to their own area, whatever the fuck it was called, the Star Chamber or whatever.
The porta potty.
Chamber.
Yeah, it's called the chamber, but it's like a box with two sides that are open on. It's not a chamber.
They literally share a fucking bamboo wall. Like,
yeah, like if they're going to do that, if this is what they're going to do, if it's going to be split or steal, then what they should be doing in their booth is putting what they would do.
Exactly.
Not trying to figure out what their partner would do. Because on top of that, if they guess wrong as to what their partner would do, it invalidates their joint win. And then they have to do a head-to-head to see who gets all the money. But it's not even a matter of them both saying, I'm taking the money for myself, and then it goes head-to-head. It's a matter of like, you have to try to figure out what your partner will do. And then based on that, you might still get half your money or you might get none of the money. And that I didn't like because they went through the whole thing together, the whole season, the whole final. And then at the end, it was, what do you think your partner will do?
Hive mind. That's all I got to say.
Mhm.
When you say it.
That's actually
Hashtag facts.
that's actually a really good point. I didn't really think of it that way as far as like, I didn't that like I couldn't really figure out what I didn't like about it. Right. And so but that's a really good point. I don't like that it was like, what do you think your partner would do? I do want to say that I do find it interesting that they would have to do like a 1v1 quick little like face off game. So like you said, if you just walked in and wrote on a chalkboard, I want to steal or I want to split or whatever. And if the answers don't match, then put them head to head like this weird, like having the two signs and then, you know, trying to guess what your partner. Yeah, that was odd. That was odd. I think maybe that's what's striking me weird about how they did it.
The only way I'd be okay with them bringing this back is if they made all four places decide.
Yeah,
So like,
I like that.
all of a sudden, you know, like Melissa and Nicole have to decide whether they're going to steal like $2,500 from their partner
Yeah.
and do a little like daily challenge or some shit. That'd be great.
Well, that's how they did it on, you know, on Rivals 3 with, you know, Bananas and Sarah and Devin and
Yeah.
Shy and, you know, Creepy Vince and Jenna.
But speaking about last place, Nicole and Melissa, what did you guys think about this? Did they get like the edit of the lovable disaster, or was it more like they were just they're better than people think, they just had a bad final?
I don't even know if that's how I'd phrase it. Like, I don't even know what category to put them under because I don't feel like either thing's about them.
I'm going to jump in on this one.
Yeah, that's
Please
fine.
do.
Okay.
Have at it.
I think Melissa is a decent competitor, and I think she can do well based on how it's set up.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think she's a threat to be the Mount Rushmore? No, but I think she's a decent competitor, like Nani, or, you know, like a Sarah, not quite Sarah Rice. That's unfair, but she could win one if it played it right.
Yeah.
Anyways, Nicole, no. I think Nicole is highly overrated on the women's side, like the most overrated. She is the Dallas Cowboys of the women's side of the challenge.
Damn.
Every time people, she could win this.
You mean the Atlanta
she could
Falcons?
win this. Why are you going to take chop shots over Nicole? Do you really want to do this?
No, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, she's the most overrated fucking player, in my opinion, based on the fact that, yes, she has been in 5 seasons and she has gone to 4 finals. But what place has she came in every single one of those finals?
Medically DQ'd.
Yeah.
Medically DQ'd or last place for the women. one or the other. She has never placed high in any of those situations. And I
mean, but at least she makes it.
One of my favorite things she says, though, is she says to Sam on an Instagram Live that her daily challenge performances don't matter because she shows up in the final.
Was that on the live?
Yes.
That they did together?
Yeah, with all 4 of them?
Yes. She shows up in the final to the medical tent.
Your body's there, yes.
Oh, wow.
So
that's where she shows up to.
I want to preface this by saying I am not defending her. She has been to...
Not a good start, Tony.
She's been to... Well, I'm just going to give you the stats because that's half my name. So she's been to 3 seasons of Flagship. She's made the final twice. She's been on 2 seasons of All-Stars, made the final twice. She's been in 3 eliminations across Flagship and All-Stars, won all 3. And collectively, she's got 12 daily wins. Looking at specifically the stats, you would think that this is an above average player. And then you realize that there's some medical DQs, some not so great political games or social games, and yeah. That's why I said I wasn't going to really defend her. I was just providing the stats.
The undefeated in eliminations, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is on paper, like the Dallas Cowboys or whatever team you want to use, this is their year. They are good. They have everything in place to do what they should do. They fucking are predicted to win because on paper, they have everything they should have. They have all the gaps filled. And then they get there and they shit the bed every fucking year. And it's the same as my team and any other fucking team, unless you're the Patriots, the Chiefs, or the Eagles. Well, yeah, the Eagles. That was great this year, wasn't it, Josh? Anyway.
I heard you.
Anybody else want to chime in on the Nicole Mel?
I had a little light bulb thing that I was thinking of whilst you were talking. One of the biggest issues Nicole has always had is communication. And what's so interesting, I know, shocking. It's shocking. But one of the things I thought was kind of crazy is in her real life, she has to perform under pressure. She's been a firefighter and a paramedic. So how is that not translating to in the final? Because we see her so frazzled where, like, I'm thinking of when in the first part of the final when they're trying to do the basket stacking.
Oh yeah.
And she's just like so short with Mel and Mel like not listening and just like ping pong, like ding 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 ding. And then she was doing the same thing with rowing, like just always just off. So I'm like, where's the disconnect?
I just want to see like if she's on the hose and they're like spray right, and then she goes left.
She goes left.
How? Oh my God! How are
She
you a
doesn't
grown adult
like-
and you don't know your right from
She
left?
also doesn't like those things, so she
Yeah,
maybe she doesn't
like
handle the
phallic
hoses.
objects.
God, that was actually pretty fucking.
That was,
was really
I'll
funny.
give her credit on that. That was funny as shit.
protein.
She said to Melissa, "That's your thing."
I don't do that. That's your thing.
Melissa didn't say a fucking word either. She was like, fuck, she got me.
She got me. Fuck.
That was a good one.
Yeah, no, that was me. I will give her credit for that. That was pretty funny.
And that's the thing is like she has the makings of a good challenger. Like on paper, like I think she's made like 29 grand over her course of like being
Like
on the
when-
challenge.
yeah.
Like as far as like
Prize
placements
money.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even that's not bad when you look at like the grand scheme of things. Hi, Rick.
But that's like
5
29
seasons.
that's like $7,000 of a final she's making.
I mean,
Yeah,
you know.
give or take. Okay. All right. I'll give her credit there. Credit.
And that's not counting like whatever you get for appearance fee or anything like that.
Yeah, that like covers her fucking taxes or whatever, I'm sure.
It looks good. She falls flat every time.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to rip on her too much, but so let's move on to a more meaningful subject in this. And I think one of the things that the challenge does very well, which is every about 1 to 2 seasons, we get a powerful moment that is bigger than the show.
Yeah.
Where someone shows humanity over pettiness and anything else. And
over the game.
Over the game. And that's where Frank was starting to have his meltdown. And Steve walked up to him and just said, dude, just hug me. Come here. Come hug me. Come talk to me. Just take it out right here. Come on.
Yeah.
And it was a moment of selflessness in Steve's situation and understanding of what what Frank was going through, even though Sam may have been the victim in this situation and not Frank. Mm-hmm. So I want your guys' thoughts on this.
I'll just hop in really quick. I think that this, like you said, this was a very powerful moment. It was beyond the show. It was a human moment between Steve and Frank. And even though Frank wasn't super receptive in that moment because he was very frustrated, Steve didn't let up. He didn't let go. He just kept holding Frank there and just held him so he could just calm down and relax, just breathe. I'm going to talk you through this. And, you know, I'm not sure how close Frank and Steve actually are, but that's a friend. Like, that's a real true friend. That's somebody that cares, because Steve had absolutely no obligation to Frank. In fact, as you're competing against him in the final, it wouldn't be crazy to let him have a meltdown and absolutely crash out. You know what I mean? But instead, he went and he occupied Frank and tried to calm him down, while I believe it was, who went and talked with Sam? I think it was, it was Devon. That's what I thought. While Devon went and talked to Sam and kind of calmed her down. And I don't know that the rest of the final goes the way that it goes for Frank and Sam if this moment doesn't happen. I don't know if Frank calms down and centers himself as quickly if, Steve doesn't intervene here. So massive props to him. I really love this.
Yeah. And honestly, like the thing that got me the most was that people online were like, oh, Frank's finally showing his true colors. And it's like, no, Frank has been showing his true colors this entire season. Mm-hmm. This is the moment that he cracked and that he said something that he felt in the moment and regretted after the fact, which is where you have that conversation in the back of the truck with him and Sam, and it's really vulnerable from both sides. But this is not Frank showing his true colors. This is 100% somebody who is in a high pressure situation that has been keeping his cool all season and has been putting in the work outside of this show while he's been away. And he's come back like this, not only a great competitor, but a great person. And that shows in every confessional, in the game that he's playing, and in this moment here. So like for me, huge moment for Steve and Frank. I love that Steve was just like, game stops, this is real. And the same with Devon and Sam. I think it's very telling that they both came over and like kind of put the game aside to have those conversations, because it was a real disconnect for a team. And then the contrast, and not to shit on them, but the contrast is they cut away and Melissa and Nicole are arguing over on the other side of the field. And like everybody's ignoring them. They're just having their own thing over there.
No one can understand.
But it's also,
no one knows.
Yeah. And it's also like petty bullshit versus actual real emotion that people saw not as players, but as people, and went to talk to those individuals. And I think that's what's important. I think that's why I keep coming back week after week. And that's one of the things that I prefer for All-Stars than Flagship, because Flagship is so competition based now that it's so rare that you actually see people let their guard down and talk to somebody as a person.
I actually think there's a very powerful moment. I almost expected Adam to go over there before Steve, just because that's what Adam has done all season long. And for Steve to do that, and I mean, Frank was just standing there, arms to the side. You could see he was shaking, and Steve just got him in a bear hug. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The Day thing, Day walking over to Sam and just being like, I don't care about your partner, what's going on. I just care about your mental state. How are you doing right now? That was also powerful. That whole moment, those two right there was extremely moving. And it was just like, all right, time stopped. And then we got back after everybody calmed down and got back to the challenge.
I agree with pretty much everything everybody said. The one thing I'm going to speak on is what Tony mentioned and what you mentioned too, as far as like people saying online, like, oh, Frank's true colors are showing it. It's like, let's stop with this virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Everybody is trying to be conscious of everybody's feelings, but at the same time, as individuals, we all have our feelings, and there are all moments where we feel frustrated or we feel angry, and that leads to an aggressive moment. But that doesn't mean that's who you are all the time.
Exactly.
That just means who you are in that moment. And most people, unless they are complete fucking assholes or pricks or whatever term you want to use, will recover very quickly and say, hey, look, I had a bad moment there. I'm sorry. I am human just like everybody else. What I said was not right in the heat of the moment. It is not how I truly felt. I was just frustrated because we're playing a game for 6 figures right now, and there's a lot of pressure. So I know you can understand where I'm coming from because I know you feel the pressure as well.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. We're all human, and none of us have been in that situation. And I know me and Corrina argue over how to fold a fitted sheet, let alone how to fucking win a final for $250,000. So
no, it's just I've had people still judge me for stuff that I did 10 years ago. Like I'm that same person. Like I've had moments. I've messed up. I've even here on the podcast, and I thank you, Rick, for coming to me and me taking that moment to be like, I'm sorry, bro. To Tony, I was just like, it was wrong. It was off. Not me. And I changed. I'm a completely different person now than I was then, except for when it comes to like odd moments for trying to be funny. So
being
people
a fucking Chiefs fan.
People can change, and the internet can just shut the fuck up about it.
Yeah, it's stop with that fucking everybody's better than thou. You know what I mean? Like fucking those with glass houses don't fucking fare so well.
I'd love to see the people who were making those comments and just, bird's eye view of their day-to-day life. And I'm sure they've never messed up ever.
It will be very easy for you to find them. Their Facebook profile picture is either a truck or a fish.
It's the same fucking people that are saying like, blah, 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 Taylor Swift doesn't look good because of this. And then you see those people's profile pictures and you're like,
listen, Bronco.
Yeah. Look, your wife looks like her name is Buzz. Okay. So let's just be honest right now. No offense to any women named Buzz out there.
Oh my God.
We can say her name looks like Bertha or something.
Yeah.
That's my mom's name. We can say that.
All right. Let's close ourselves out for the night. Who's your MVP for not only the final, but the season? And do you have an LVP?
MVP, Adam. Adam, I have a co-MVP, Adam and Frank for the entire season.
You have an LVP?
No.
Okay.
For the episode, obviously Adam and Steve. For the season, Frank and Sam, hands down. They were the ones that I was the most looking forward to when I saw the cast. They're the ones that progressed. Like they exceeded everyone's expectations in every way, shape, and form. And just to watch them navigate the game and know where their strengths are and know where their weaknesses are and be able to capitalize on that in a way that nobody else did. Like everybody else just leans on their strengths and hopes that nobody notices their weaknesses. Whereas Frank and Sam navigated this game acknowledging both and 100% MVPs.
I like that.
Love it.
So MVP for this episode, obviously, is going to be Adam and Steve. I'm going to give a shout out to Shane and Devon just because their performance very much surprised me. I wasn't expecting them to be able to work and communicate and, do as good as they did together. As far as for the season, agree fully. I'm going to give my MVP to Frank. And then I'm also going to give a co-MVP for the season to Shane for kind of being Frank's op, because I feel like a lot of the back and forth this season was what kept me watching. Like who's going to get over on who with this whole Frank and Shane thing was like what was sucking me in the whole season. So I kind of got to give it to them both. So
I'm hive minding with Corrina. And of course, Frank has been my MVP all season, guys. And it's just, I have to toss him in there again. And we wouldn't have the entertainment that we had this season without him. We have not seen anyone play the game the way that he did in so long, with no fucks to give. Just, it was chef's kiss. It made me so happy. Just want him to come back so bad.
Yeah.
I get your feelings there. With that being said, I am going to go with, obviously, episode Adam and Steve. 5 elimination wins. You top it off with the final win.
Yeah.
I think the last person to do that was Sarah Grayson, if I remember correctly. So that's pretty fucking impressive. Congratulations to them. Season MVP, I can't not say Frank. I think I gave Frank more MVPs than anyone else. I'm going to do pretty much the same thing you did. Just say MVPs or honorable mentions is going to be Veronica and Shane.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So LVP, Nicole.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't put any thought into LVP because you said we weren't doing them.
I wasn't prepared.
Well, I did one for all of us. There you go. We all agree it's Nicole.
There you go.
We'll be under the umbrella together.
Yeah.
There's one thing that we didn't mention this entire season, despite the fact that it only happened in this episode. Nobody has brought up Tiger TJ.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh,
the TJ
Like, that was
episode.
Amazing.
Yeah, they were great.
the song choices this episode were
They were good.
Yeah, and all good covers. Fucking solid covers. That one was really good.
Yeah.
It started and I was like, is this what I think it is?
Yeah.
No, it was really good.
So, all right, that pretty much wraps it up for All Stars 5 Rivals. That's the end of the season. That's the end of our recapping it.
It's going to be a while before we're back with recaps. However, please make sure that you are subscribed to our Insta, or that you're subscribed to our YouTube down below. You're subscribed on Spotify. You're following us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. Because we are still going to be putting content out over this break. We're going to be doing, going back to doing some of our fun discussion debates. We're going to, probably be having some interviews and, stuff like that. So make sure that you are subscribed and your notifications are on so that you know when we release those episodes, because we don't even know when we're releasing them yet.
we're like, well, I mean, to be honest, you guys can't see it, but all of this right next to us is brand new sheetrock with texture on it that we have to paint, put fucking baseboards on.
Oh yeah, we'll look different next time too.
Yeah, very old school look behind us. We haven't rocked this in like over a year, but we're gonna fucking switch it out. It'll look good by the next time you see us. We'll still look the same, but the background will look nice.
You never know.
I'm gonna get lip fillers.
You don't need lip fillers.
I don't. These fucking monsters.
I mean, but if you want them, get them. You do what makes you happy.
You do you, boo.
You do you.
Yeah. So, with that being said, that wraps it up. We will be back probably, I don't know, within the next 3 to 4 weeks. I would assume we'll drop an episode for you guys because we love each other too much. We can't stay away from each other and talk challenge.
Yeah.
And I think we might revisit a topic we've talked about before. I don't know if it's going to be best rookie of all time, if it's going to be...
I've got some ideas.
I've got some ideas. Echo's got some ideas. We're going to figure it out. If you don't know who Echo is, go back and listen to some old episodes. You'll catch it. For myself, Ricky Hayes, my beautiful wife, Corrina Hayes. For Katie, Bad Blood, Pahura, Tony Stats and Info Lance, Josh motherfucking Chambers. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you heard, rate us 5 stars. If you didn't, hit us up on Yelp. We'll be sure to get back to you on that. Thank y'all. Be good to each other. Night.
See ya.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Deuce, motherfucker.
Jesus.